大家好，欢迎收看英文瞧起来。这周呢，我邀请到了一位在德国出生长大的朋友来接受我的访问，然后我们要讨论的主题是如何学好一个语言，因为我听说他可以讲4种语言。很厉害吧？所以我想要来跟他请教一下，要怎么样才能把英文学好？因为英文对他来说，其实也是很后面才学的一个语言。那我们就要来听听看他有什么小 tips， 然後也可以和大家分享我自己學習的經驗，希望對你有幫助。好，那事不宜遲，我們開始吧。Sir, hello， 你好，好耐冇見，多謝你今日接受我嘅訪問。我哋今日講下點掌握好唔同嘅語言。我聽講你會講4種語言，而且廣東話係你嘅母語，想請教下你點樣掌握好
？As a starter, could you introduce yourself a little bit and also maybe share with us a little bit about your channel?
Hi, my name is Kalun and I'm living in Germany. I'm born and raised here. My parents are from Hong Kong, so which makes me speak 2 languages, so Cantonese and German. And of course, I learned English at school and I also studied and worked in Taiwan, so I speak in total 4 languages. And I have a YouTube channel if you want to check out some DIY stuff. Make sure to check it out. I also, am a student right now. I'm doing my PhD in, it's a very nerdy field. It's computer vision. So in total, I speak Cantonese, German, and then English and Mandarin. So these are the orders where I also pick up the languages.
I would say, what are your secrets for manage 4 different languages?
I think most important is that you have to think about like what kind of factors influence your language. And I think you know also that Cantonese and Mandarin Chinese, they are very similar. If you know already a language, certain language has synergies. They make you easier to pick up a language. For example, if you know Spanish and you want to learn Italian, Spanish and Italian, it's very similar, and the same goes with, I think, Cantonese and Mandarin. That is like one thing. The second thing is that how much motivated you are. So if you very eager to learn. I remember when I was in Zhengda, I was not eager to learn Chinese at all. It was so different.
At all?
No.
Okay.
One of the first words I learned was Jawawaji.
What's that?
Jawawaji, the claw machine.
夹娃娃机。为什么你要学夹娃娃机？
Because I remember in Zhengda or in Taiwan in general, there were so many of these Jawawaji. And for me, it was so new.
True, you have to find a motivation. So Jawawaji was one of your early motivation.
Yeah, so I used my phone. So it was back then like an iPod or something. And I wrote down on the notes, like, what does this call? And I just wrote vocabularies, small vocabularies, like Jawawaji. That if you have the chance to go abroad, then it will increase like your chance to learn a language. It is not a guarantee, but I think if you go abroad, you have a higher chance. So I think these are the more or less the 3 factors.
Yeah, you have to create an environment for yourself that you can speak the language, and
it really depends on like everybody is different, because when I was in early 20 and I really enjoy knowing different people or people from different backgrounds. So I find myself a language exchange partner, and she's from Macau, so that's why I taught her English and then she taught me Cantonese. Yeah, so I like to chat with people, so that was one of the biggest motivation for me. Today, if we focus on English, what's your biggest challenge when you learning English?
That's a good question. I think let me start with English because it was my 3rd language, and of course I started as anyone else. Like I was not good at English because the grammar and stuff I was quite okay, but when it comes to speaking, it was actually a completely different world. And I think it applies to any language. You know the theory, but you don't know the practice. True. Like the practical part. I was before my university, I was doing this internship, and then it was an international company, and I was talking with, like, my boss was an English speaking person, and I know how to speak, but I was not like confident enough to speak. The main challenge is to really just to speak. Some people have it easier, some people have it more difficult, but I think one of the biggest challenges that you are afraid to really make mistake, maybe.
So I agree with that. Yeah,
I think it was, for me, was the case, and I think it is absolutely normal to think this way.
but I didn't really have the chance to speak it at all because I was born and raised in Taiwan. But when I was 22 and I went to Dubai, yeah, I worked for Emirates Airline, and I remember during the training, the first 2 months I couldn't speak at all. So when people were talking, I was there smiling and nodding, but I'm not quite sure. I wasn't quite sure if I understand or not. There was a purser. The purser is like someone is the higher ranking in a cabin crew. So she rejoined after giving birth. So she joined us in the same class, and one day she was telling me a joke, and I didn't know. So she said, "Is that yours?" And then I was like, and then she said, "If you didn't understand, you should just tell me, or you should just ask a question." There are a lot of flight attendants like you, especially Asian people. Like you guys are so afraid of to make any mistakes or to embarrass yourself. So when you don't understand anything, you guys don't ask, and you pretend you understand. So which creates a lot of trouble or misunderstandings at work. So I was like, oh, okay, I'm sorry. So I say, now if you're going to learn a new language or you're going to recommend somebody else, what kind of method will you recommend? So what are the process for you to master a language?
So first of all, learn a vocabulary. That's very clear. So if you want to learn a language, you need to know certain vocabulary. However, you don't need to learn all vocabulary. It's not possible to learn all the words. And then the second thing is to really practice. One common mistake that I think people do is that they want to make every sentence perfect pronunciation. Yeah.
Most of the time I'll tell them, today you're not going to make a speech. You're not going to write a perfect report or a very academic report. So as long as you can express yourself properly and then politely as well, and just don't be afraid and then try to speak. I also will recommend them finding interesting way. Don't bore themselves while learning. So
personally, always watch movies in English, and I think it helps you a lot. I think I started playing online games really early, and it was kind of like among Europeans, and then you have to speak English somehow. So that will also help, and I had to speak with them, otherwise there's no communication.
You cannot play.
Yeah, exactly, and there's a motivation behind.
So I think for learning a new language or try to master English, it's really important, like what you said, to find yourself a very strong motivation. And then you can start with simple words and then find yourself an environment, or you can create yourself one, and do not afraid to make any mistakes. Just try. I always encourage my students, like, you make many mistakes, and then which means you have many chances to learn. Kalun today, and thank you for your time and sharing your tips with us. And I hope to talk to you soon.
All right. And thanks for the interview. And if you have any questions, let me know.
好的，那以上就是今天我们讨论如何学习好一门语言的诀窍。不知道你听完以后有没有发现哪一个 tips 对你来说是最有用的？请在下面留言跟我分享。还是说你有什么其他更有趣的 tips， 或是像是我弟弟一样打线上游戏，结果打出一口好英文？如果你喜欢今天的影片，别忘了帮我按 like， 还有订阅，还有跟你的朋友分享。每周晚上8点我准时上片，记得订阅，然后收取最新的通知来学习有趣的社交英文。那我们下周见喽，拜拜。